What is going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. My name is Bradshaw, and guys, this is going to be an awesome episode tonight. We have Mr. Brandon Overmyer of America TV with the American Outlaw Cummins powered monster truck. You might have seen him. He went viral a couple weeks ago at the Fall Four-Wheel and Off-Road Jamboree over there in Danville, Indiana. They moved from the Indiana State Fairgrounds to Danville, just outside of Indianapolis, and he kind of broke the internet. We're going to be talking to him about all that, collaborating with other YouTubers like JH Diesel and everything that went on with his season with American Outlaw. Guys, we are going full force into the coming up into the new year of the Crush This podcast. A couple of people we want to thank, as always, over our pals over at Monster Truck Attitude. Go check out what they're doing. They do some awesome stuff there. Our buddy Steve Jones, all of us at Crush This are involved. So many other amazing people involved in that. There are so many different shows that Steve's producing. That man is working into overtime. So go check that out if you're into the downhill diecast monster truck racing. Our Crush This Spread Shop store, I have been working on some new merch designs, kind of incorporating a little bit of NASCAR and drag racing into some of the merch. I kind of showed Cheech a teaser of a t-shirt a little bit ago. Crush This Race Team. That design, I can't wait to put it up for people, you guys to check it out. That's how we fund the podcast, for any, equipment or anything that we need. That's how we fund the podcast. So go check that out. Our buddies over at J Concepts, as you'll see when Cheech comes on the screen, he has two RC trucks behind him. Cheech is proudly sponsored by J Concepts, along with so many of our friends, Josh Rhodes, so many others are sponsored by J Concepts. If you want to get some J Concepts parts for your RC monster truck, use code CRUSHTHIS at jconcepts.net for 15% off your items. Go check out our buddy Bryce Kenny's book, Geared for Life, Making a Shift into Your Full Potential. I'm reading that one again. I'm making a huge shift in my life, going to go to college in the new year for graphic design. Surprisingly, a lot of places won't hire you unless you have that little piece of paper that says I am trained in all blah, 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 blah. So I'm finally doing it. There's a course that opened up in my local college. But if you want to get your ass in gear, go check that book out. It'll definitely motivate the heck out of you. And if you are having trouble finding the podcast on, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast, go check out Monsters Monthly. It's a monster truck based website, and they host our podcast on there for us as well. So go check out what Monsters Monthly does. They do a great job with everything they do. You might see them being advertised on Back Channel Productions, which go check out our buddies over at Back Channel Productions, Nick Davis, celebrating also their 10th year anniversary. And guys, we are going to get into the episode with Brandon. We have a few ads to play, and then we will get into the episode. So stay tuned, everyone.
Are you ready to get in on the action here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel? Look no further. Head over to Facebook where you can sign up for all the great events we host right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up for the events and register your name and get locked in with a monster truck of your own and get ready for the great thrills and spills right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Again, find us on Facebook, register for these events, and you soon will be competing in all the great events. We hope to see you there. And get ready for the wild and crazy action. Be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a beat right here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel.
It's bigger. It's louder. It's better than ever. This still isn't your typical motorsports podcast. This is the 10th anniversary of Crush This, a monster truck podcast brought to you by J Concepts. For 10 years, your hosts, the monster truck Canucker Bradshaw and Dan Cheech have brought you into the minds and personalities of the monster truck industry. Strap in and hold on tight. This is Crush This!
Well, welcome back. It's weird having the intro in the middle. They would normally start that thing. Well, it's okay. We'll fix that up. But once again, folks, thank you for being on here on Crush This. I'm finally back in my room. While you're at it, thank you for 5-star likes on iTunes and on Spotify. And also, please take a picture. Tag me, Brad, and Brandon here, tag and Crush This and show, hey, we're on the episode right now. Also, while you're at it, while we're listening to this, while you're listening to on the road, share, take a screenshot of the episode that you're listening to, all past, even maybe the current. Go ahead and do that and help us out with our podcast also. So we're gonna go ahead and start it off with Mr. Brandon Overmyer, Mr. America TV. We're gonna start things off with last weekend. I saw you and caught up with you a little bit at the Danville, Indiana, but the fall four-wheel drive jamboree, always called the Indy Jamboree, and you came out with something pretty wicked. And I know you have done it in the past. We'll talk about doing the pretty much the 12 by 12 or 6 by 6. Yeah, it is a 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah,
Yeah,
6
you can
by
call it
6.
what you want.
Yeah.
Triply, maybe. I'm not
Yeah, the
sure.
triple. But I know that's kind of kicking it old school, the way the tradition is. All with the jamborees back in the day with the monster truck corral and all that stuff. So what got you pretty going with the 6 by 6?
So first of all, thanks for having me on here, guys. We did this 4 years ago, and
Yeah.
About that.
yeah, when I was first getting my feet wet in this monster truck ownership thing and whatever. So it's an honor to be back again. But yes, we put triples on this monster truck again for the second time, I guess, and it caused a little bit of stir. And I don't know. I guess haters make things go further in the social media world than anything. And there's a lot of people that won't ever be able to do what we've did, that really push the videos to do good. But the whole point of putting those triples on was to recognize the Monster Truck Hall of Fame and get attention to it and the shows that are coming up. And boy, did it get a lot of attention. So.
Well, you have been out at the jamborees for quite a while. I met you 2022 when I went to that one. You guys had the old Equalizer on display, which was really cool to see. I didn't expect to see that truck ever in my lifetime, and got to meet you and hang out for a little bit while I was there with the Kaisers. And it's still one of my bucket list things to get there, even just to go visit or even be there at the ceremony. That's eventually I'll make my Canadian way there, but talk about just being able to represent the Hall of Fame at such a legendary event like the four-wheel off-road jamborees.
Oh, dude, it's so cool. It's I was around this stuff early on. My dad had a leaf spring truck, the old original Night Stalker of Steve Combs, and then he bought it, and my dad bought it, gave the body back to Steve as part of the trade deal they did. He rebranded it Green Giant leaf spring truck. So Jeff Cook, starts this museum. We had ran with Jeff Cook when I was a little boy and everything. And then I don't know, I tried to buy that leaf spring truck back. Guy wouldn't sell it to me. Said I was going to buy a race truck. Craziest thing I could have ever said. Kind of earned my way back into the spotlight of the monster truck deal with all the Hall of Fame guys. I wanted to be a part of that and whatever. Started running the shows there. And then, you make friends out of Scott Hess and Mike Vaughters again and everything. They saw me as a little boy growing up and everything. And then you build your trust and you're able to go do something you never dreamed of by taking these trucks to the four-wheel jamboree and representing them, So definitely awesome. And that Indiana State Fairgrounds, it will always be the Indy four-wheel jamboree for me, because that's where I grew up, with our show trucks and watching Vaughters and the Penda series and Boogie Van and everything. All those memories, the Pepsi Coliseum in the background, that's what made it for me. I had mixed emotions about going into this Danville deal, but I think it turned out pretty good. So
just to let people know, we're gonna go back to the three-peat there on the wheels and tires. Is how long did it take you? How many lug nuts? And how did you improvise that? It's been a while since anyone have done 3. A lot of guys just do the 2 and involve, and stuff like that. But it takes a lot of engineering and stuff like that. I know you have a pretty good way of doing that. And how did that come about? And talk about how the the story behind it. And then when did you think this can work?
So I guess the whole idea come about as I was a kid. I watched Battle of the Monster Trucks, War of the Monster Trucks, whatever. Everybody, they were floating these things. Spikers down there. I think Barefoot had duels on and floated at one time. Bigfoot definitely did. Bigfoot's always going to be the king no matter what anybody does. Those guys built the sport. And you just watch it as a little kid and you're mesmerized. And then I get this truck and I think, what? I guess I saw Jeff Cook and those guys float. I didn't get to make it to their Gas Guzzy event up there at the old Hall of Fame. And I wish I had. I was busy sled pulling at that time with my diesel truck. And I was like, man, I missed that, but I still want to float, So I was like, well, everybody's did singles, obviously. We all know Mike Nickel and them guys flipped one upside down. Everybody was always gun shy of that and everything. So I'm like, well, I can do duels. I investigated on how to do the duels. I called Alan Pizzo, talked to him a little bit, just questioned everybody I could think of, Votters and whatever. And then when I was making dually spacers, I was just going to float it with duels, I was like, I don't think anybody's ever put triples on a monster truck. And I had enough tires I had gathered up for years. I mean, since I bought the truck, I started collecting tires, So I just had another set of spacers made, not knowing if I would ever do it. And then we were trying the YouTube thing, and it's all about being different, right? So you got to have something to stand out. You got to say you're the best at something or whatever. And so we ended up making it to where the wheel spacers all bolted together where we could do triples. And how I did it is my wheels, when I bought this truck off of Paul Wickelman, were dual flanged. Him and Dalton Skyhawk had ran this thing for years before. They had dual flanged wheels because this truck was 12'8" wide the way it sets normally, but there were certain coliseums or arenas you would go in that the openings would be 12 foot and the truck wouldn't go in. You'd have to drive it in on the little tires and tire it up inside, Well, they dual flanged their wheels to where it would be like 11 foot 10, where it would just squeeze in these doors if you bolted them on the one way. And that's what gave me the idea of how to bolt these spacers to the outside flange of those wheels. So I basically dual flanged a couple sets of fertilizer wheels that were inexpensive. Adam Gates cut me some flanges out, and I had some made here locally too. And it was just nothing but time and welding and fab work, to dual flange these old heavy wheels that aren't desirable for the monster truck industry necessarily. And that's what my inside 8 set of tires, I guess, are all fertilizer rims with full cleat Firestones, and I run my nice set of rims on the outside. So 200 lug nuts. And when you call Bryce Wozniak to buy 200 lug nuts, he wonders if you're doing drugs that day. So, so he's like, why would you need 200 lug nuts? But
now, the one thing that I was just thinking of, like, how much time and labor went into something like this, because you mentioned doing a bunch of welding, trying to make sure everything's somewhat fairly balanced, so when you're driving it's not like how much time did you have to put into this whole idea before it came to fruition and you've seen it on all the tires?
It's crazy, man. Just people don't see it. They don't see the time and having the barrels for the spacers turned, the flanges cut. You had to weld studs in backwards in the spacers. I don't even know if I can tell you the labor. I'll say this, I'm fortunate that we have some local Mennonites around here that were young and they were starting weld shop up, and I was busy and we were doing okay business wise at the time. And I dropped my rims off at them and said, hey, would you cut this center out of this rim and weld it in for me? And they thought it was such a cool idea. They just can't imagine a monster truck, them working on monster truck parts or what, they wanted to see the finished product. So they were invested too. And so they helped me out a bunch. But I definitely had a lot of time in mounting and dismounting tires and welding and just piecing it together for sure. I don't even know if I can tell you how much.
So let's go back, because when we last talked to you, you got the truck. I think you already came up with the name of it, but for me, the cool factor is the old school Dodge bodies that you have, from the one that's right behind you to now. A lot of people talk about that Gen 1 that you have. There it is right there.
Well,
what got you so intrigued to do the classic Dodge bodies and talk about what got you to get the Gen 1. That's like from, I think, what, 89 and 93 or 90 to
Yeah,
93. So how did
I,
that come about and who helped you out making that body and stuff like that?
so let's start here. The name was actually on the truck. I think Dalton had come up with the name. I didn't know that. Being the American Outlaw with America TV made sense when I bought the truck, so I wanted to keep the name, and it had a Ford body on it, so that's where the name come from. But it is the Outlaw. It's a diesel, so that fit in. But then I've always been a Dodge guy. I sled pulled my '96 Dodge Cummins truck that I drove in high school. I took a perfectly beautiful street driven truck. I drove it to prom, had 35-inch BFGs on this thing. It was gorgeous. And I cut it up and made it a 1,500 horsepower pulling truck. I had to haul all over the place in a matter of 10 years, progression and whatever. So I was a second gen Dodge fan. Watched Barefoot for years. Loved the Barefoot, Fred Schaefer, Rampage. Those second gen Dodges, just loved them. Andy Hoffman, Nightmare. Coil spring truck, one of my favorites all time. Between it and the Gunslinger coil spring truck, that's what I wanted. I wanted a coil spring truck like Andy's Nightmare. If I could have bought that truck, made it come back in time, that would have been my pick. Today, I would still be running a coil spring truck if I could have got that one. But yeah, Dodge guy, just Cummins, making power, and that's where the whole Dodge body thing. I was like, I didn't want a Ford body, and couldn't get a second gen Dodge body like the Barefoots and the Nightmares. GTS, when they sold out or whatever happened with them, they cut the mold up. That was a common body. I mean, Alan Pizzo has one. Like I said, Andy had one. There was Barefoot bodies. There's still probably 20 of them out there, but I couldn't get my hands on one. That 69 body he had just did for a pro stock pulling truck, or a big blown pulling truck up in Iowa, I think. And the guy from GTS told me, he's like, dude, this body's pretty cool. You're a Dodge guy. I think you'll like it. Sent me pictures of it. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't even know anything about swept line trucks, And then I got on Google and I looked and I saw this picture of this beautiful swept line with a white cab and a blue bottom. And I was like, that's it. We got to do that, So that's where that started. And then from there, we went to a Ford body that didn't work out, trying to represent the Hall of Fame. And, that was a pretty negative deal there. I mean, that was a bad news travels fast type situation. And I was like, you know what? I put that roll bar in that thing. It looked awesome. Was super proud of how that turned out. I thought it represented great, but just didn't work. Some people aren't worth representing, So that's where this first gen body come in. The man Trey Myers, he hit me up after he did that Ford body and was like, hey, I've always wanted to do a first gen. I can make you the mold. He's like, I got the truck here to make the mold off of. He said, let's do the first one and put it on your truck. And he made it happen. And I think we killed it. So,
we've seen so many second gens, and now you're coming out with the different Dodges, and a Canadian team, the Crude Behavior team, with Roughneck and the Crude Behavior truck, they've come out with Dodges just as of this year. And it's so cool to see the older body styles of these of Dodges coming out. And I love it because I like different bodies. Everybody goes with the norm. I'd want to go different. And that's what you're doing, especially with the first gen and the swept line. What has been the response from the fans when they see the truck in person or in pictures? Has it been very positive feedback on the having the different bodies?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, there's some negativity out there in the world. There's a lot of haters out there. So you're always going to get that person that tries to put you down. But for the most part, the first gen body went over, or the swept line body, the first years went over. Everybody loved it because it's so different. The only problem we had with the swept line is there's a lot of younger kids like mine, your ages and younger, that didn't see a lot of swept lines. Like me, I didn't pay attention. They were just so old when we were growing up. You just didn't know what they were. So a lot of people thought it was a Ford. Like, it literally says Dodge on the tailgate. There'd be a person standing under the tailgate asking me if my truck was a Ford. And I'm like, obviously not. It says Dodge on it, guys. So there was just some problems differentiating it, from some of the square bot, because all the trucks were square back in the day, Fords, your Chevys, your Dodges. They were all similar. They obviously had their own characteristics, but the first gen body this year knocked it out of the park because it was the first Dodge pickup truck to ever have a Cummins engine. So it makes sense, It's like starting at the first gen and you work up. So like Cheech said, 88 was the first year, I think, for a Cummins Dodge truck, and it was basically a gas truck they'd put a diesel engine in. And this body is an 87, 88, 89, somewhere in there. So you can pick it apart all day long. It's a fiberglass body, but I think the mold that Trey made it off of was an 89 or 90. So yeah, super positive response on this one. The colors are a Mopar color scheme they came up with years ago, so that's true to its time, and that's worked out really good too, I think. So yeah.
And that's pretty cool, Brad. Yeah, with you talked about the colors and stuff like that with the Gen 1. This year alone, you've been doing, I think you said you did like what, 19, 20 shows this year.
Yeah, close to 20. I don't know if we got 20 paid performances done, but we definitely did 20 shows of one form or another.
So let's talk about this season. Yeah, you came out with the Gen 1, big hit, but you're starting to become where a lot of people are starting to follow you and ask you to be in shows. I think what you said, you did one show about 5 hours away. And how was that for you this year on that, breakage wise, driving wise? You're always going to be learning about, learning every single time you're behind the wheel of the truck. Some, here and there. How was this season for you?
It was super good. This truck, for sitting in a pole barn for however many years before I bought it, and it never really got ran to its full potential before that, to putting this diesel in it. I had a lot of gremlins I worked out the first couple years. I broke some stuff. I broke some stuff this year, but it's been super reliable, to be honest. Like, I've pretty much been able to unload it, wash it, do your preventative maintenance stuff on the thing, and load her back in the trailer for the most part. Maybe one little thing broke here or there, but it wasn't nothing you couldn't fix, And I've had a lot of promoters reach out, been able to do some pretty cool shows. My big limitation is I have 2 young sons here now. We actually just had their birthday party here last weekend, so I had to tire 2 monster trucks up for that. And I don't want to travel too far, and I hate turning people down, but it's just a thing that I'm not giving up my family and my businesses and everything I got going on to go on the road monster trucking full time at this point. I love when people give me opportunities, and if I can make it happen for them, I can do a little traveling. And at the fans, I mean, obviously the fans love coming up and seeing the diesel and say how cool it is, how different it is, and whatever. But yeah, as far as the truck, dude, I broke. I think I've been a 4-link bar this year, which took a shock out. I stretched a knuckle again, which that's kind of an old school thing. This thing's so heavy. The old trucks in the Thunder National days, Vodders and them guys, they were stretching Clark knuckles back in the day. So I put a Patrick support on one last year, and I had a support on the one this year, and it crunched a kingpin bearing, stretched the knuckle a little. I fixed that, and past that, man, I don't think I blew a planetary. I don't think I broke an axle shaft this year. I didn't have a drive shaft come out of it. The first year or two, I battled some drive shaft problems and whatever, but I got a lot of driveline issues figured out with it. The engine was super good until I blew it up mid-season. So, and that was pure abuse on my part. So,
yeah, that's something I've been wondering about, comparing, the maintenance schedule of your normal blown alcohol, Chevy or Hemis or whatever compared to the diesel. What's the maintenance like, comparing the two, and, the major differences that you found, running the Cummins compared to running your normal blown alcohol setup?
well, I mean, the big difference is this thing's a 360 cubic inch motor, and I'm out here running with 500 cubic inch engines, so I'm at a severe cubic inch difference. So you have to drive it like you're mad at it all the time to get it to perform. But we have stainless diesel turbocharger, a 475 billet 5-blade turbo that makes 65 pounds of boost. I don't know how much a blown alcohol truck makes, but it's not 65 pounds. That's where we compensate. But as far as maintenance, man, this engine has been so reliable. This is an ex-sled pulling engine that I just literally had laying here. It was not designed for it, was not meant to go in it. It was just an afterthought. I was like, man, I need an engine to stick in this truck. Here's what I have. I put a stock head on the thing, had a big cam, cut pistons, decent pump, and we put a good turbo and everything, and we've just been sending it. But as far as maintenance, we pretty much change the oil in the thing. That's all you can do to it, check the valves every now and then. And I don't even think last year I checked the valves, to be honest. So it just took a whooping and kept on doing what it does.
So also, I noticed when I was working for Phil back in the day, we were doing with the Diesel Brothers, and they always put they had like a box, and they always put ice inside of it. I guess
Oh
it's supposed
yeah,
to help cool the turbos. Do you do that, or is that something
I
that you don't need to do?
I do, and what that is that's an air to water intercooler, and diesels are very susceptible to heat. So if the air's cool outside, they'll burn way cleaner. They won't smoke as much, and they'll be way less laggy. They'll just be way snappier. The air burns better. So that air to water intercooler literally flows ice water through basically a radiator, and then you're blowing air through this radiator and into the engine. So when we dynoed my sled pulling engine back in the day, we went from an air to air intercooler like your stock Dodge truck has, and it was like 350-degree air temperature going into the engine, and it was 500 coming out of the turbo. When we went to air to water with ice water, it was 589 degrees. I remember this like it was yesterday for some reason, but it was like an 89-degree day outside, or 90, and where we were dynoing, it was 589-degree air temp coming out of the turbo, and it was 81 degrees going in the engine. It took over 500 degrees of temperature out of that air.
Wow.
That air to water did. And that makes such a huge difference in diesels making power and being snappy and not smoking. And that's what they were doing. So I put an air to water intercooler on this when I built it, but I was just going to run ambient temperature water in it. I never had plans of putting ice in it, because that's one more thing to babysit. Before a show, we're out getting ice, putting in this stupid thing all the time. But it was so hot here this summer. The shows were so hot. I put ice in mine almost every show. And you could tell at the beginning of the show, it was way happier. It was less smoky. It was way more responsive. By the end of the show, my ice had all melted. The water was getting warmer. It was making the intake temp come up, and it was lazy and way smokier than what I'd like to have saw. But that's what they were doing, and that makes a huge difference. So yes.
Well, I was watching 1320 Video, who normally does drag race and stuff, did put up a tractor pulling video recently, and seeing like they're putting like 100 pounds of ice in for just one run. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I didn't think those would get so hot, but that's insane that they get that hot. And another question I have is like, what are you doing for like, so like if you're doing like a straight line race and trying to build boost, because with supercharged combination, you basically have boost on command, with the supercharger, but with your turbo, you got to try to spool that up. So are you using any nitrous or anything to help spool that up faster, or is it just all just waiting and time to get that thing spooled up?
So yeah, I had nitrous on it the first 2 years, and I still got the bottle, the mount, and everything set above my transmission. If you actually look at the MTRA guidelines, it says you're not supposed to have it, but it was something that we did because we needed to. It seemed like we thought it would help. But what I ran into is there's so much going on in the cab, as Cheech knows, and everything. You're trying to look at your obstacle that's ahead of you, and I'm trying to judge distance and downshift to get the RPMs up and everything else. I never could hit the nitrous button at the right time. It was never in the right spot. Whether it was on my shifter or if I put it on my rear steer handle, I could never find it when I needed it. Every time I hit it, it would almost make the engine worse. It would almost go to white smoke. It almost put the fire out. And so I took my bottle off this year, and I didn't run it at all. I just concentrate on, if I'm coming up to an obstacle and it's down on boost, I just pull it back a gear. I go from third gear to second. I slam it back, RPM it, get the RPMs up, and with RPMs comes boost usually, and we try to make it happen, So I think in the right form, I think maybe Brodozer had it on it. I think Dave Radzira's had some nitrous on his at one point. Dave had a little different setup going on. He was battling the transmission, the clutch setup he had in his, I think, was hurting him at this point. But yeah, I think there is a benefit to it if you can make it work right and be consistent. If we were just straight line pinned to racing, you would never see a truck have as much nitrous as mine would have sprayed at it. I can assure you, because nitrous will make power in a diesel. But with it being on and on freestyle, off on freestyle, and whatever, it's just not ideal for what we're doing. So
I know Dave Razira's had a type of nitrous on the truck but was very limited, and it was like a button on his pedal. So he would hit it like it was like on a gets on like a block. Then if he hits it again, he'll hit the nitrous, and that would help him out. But that's the way he was describing it to me about that. But we will take a commercial break, thank one of our sponsors, and then I'm going to ask you, Brandon, about a new heart on your monster truck that you are putting together. So we'll be right back. Once again, thank you to Nick Davis and Back Channel Productions. Go take a look at his stuff. He was over at Danville with us, and that was some pretty cool stuff there too. Once again, I want to give a shout out to Chuck Board. What up? How's it going? He said Dave used to run it. He did a lot of shows with them. He was a Monster Jam technician. Did a lot of stuff with Zombie and stuff like that. But give a shout out. But I know I've been following your videos as of late there, Brandon, and you talk about the new heart, the new plant that you're putting together for American Outlaw, and what's different between this one and the one that you have in underneath the truck right now.
So yeah, this engine basically was some of these parts I had saved up from my sled puller back in the day. I was going to put a new engine in it because the name of the game was all horsepower with it. But so like the engine that's in the American Outlaw right now, it is a 12 valve head, but this is an aftermarket head. It's called a Hamilton Warhead. This thing's a bigger cubic inches. This thing's actually 404 cubic inches, where a true 6.7 Cummins is like 410 or something like that. But what this is this is our best try at making a purpose-built Cummins monster truck engine using mechanical parts, I guess. Try to be reliable, but yet make the turbo spool quickly, have some more cubic inches to play with, and use kind of parts that we were able to gather at a decent price, I guess. So this is a 6.7 block that is bored 4250 bore, which is a very large bore. It's like the biggest bore you can put in a 6.7 block without hurting it. And it's got a 5.9 crankshaft out of the older engine, just like's in it now. That's balanced. It's got a good set of rods, a good set of older pulling pistons that kind of got outdated. We put them in this thing and shaved them down. We put a pretty mild camshaft in this thing because it has such a big head, and we're hoping that it just uses the cubic inch to spike the turbo, and it just makes it way more responsive, than what we're running right now. And
so one thing I was wondering, since you did come from the pulling area, you go 0 to 100. Let's say percentage wise, you 0 to 100% of the engine down the straightaway. In a monster truck, like you said, a lot of times if it's not straight line, if you're doing turn courses or freestyle, you're going off and on a lot. So you're going like 0 to 100, 0 100, 0 100, 0, but in short micro you say by time,
Yep.
bursts compared to going 100, one time down the
Exactly.
straightaway. So when you're putting that engine together with durability, compared to, doing pulling, you're doing monster trucks. Is there a concern? Is there an area in the engine that, you are concerned about that could, break internally because of that? Like, for instance, the Hemis that we run with Hall Brothers,
Hmm.
we run the same Brad Anderson type Hemis that the IHRA Pro Mods and cars run. Well, they're the kind of the same thing as tractor pulling. They go stage 0 to 100
Yep.
until they hit the straight line,
Yep.
starting line, and they're done. Well, we're using the same motors as they are, and we're going off and on the throttle a lot with those monster trucks. So sometimes our rods, or,
Right.
or we have to check the valves all the time. The spring, the ball may leave the chat type deal. Um, like you said, with maintenance wise, you're checking the valves, changing the oil and stuff like that. But when you're putting this motor together, you're looking at durability. What did you have to take away from the pulling aspect to help you out with the monster trucks?
So actually, the engine that's in the truck now, I learned the first year, like monster trucks are, you need them to start right now and go out and do their job. A pulling engine is usually all out power, everything you can get out of it, high timing, lots of fuel, but they can warm up. You have time in the pits to warm them up, get them ready. Well, this thing has to fire and go. So like I'm going to say the engine that's in the truck now and its peak form would have 35 degrees of timing. I pulled it clear back to, I just checked it the other day. It's got like 24 degrees of timing. And I took like 15 degrees of timing or 12 degrees of timing or something out of this thing. So it would start easy and be reliable, I probably took 150 horse out of the thing, but I needed it to be reliable and be off and on all the time, like you're saying. So I'm thinking with this new engine, it's going to be the same deal. We're going to take it to dyno. We're not going to dyno the thing to try to find the peak power of it. We're going to try to find a place to where it makes good power, but it's snappy, it starts good, it behaves good, and we don't feel about it hurting itself. I split a couple of engine blocks in my sled pulling truck that were filled solid back in the day. We're running water in these to try to keep the heat out of them. I know we can split these if I tie it down and turn it loose. I don't want to do that. I want to keep it reliable. So we have a horsepower number in mind that we would like to see it get to that and keep it reliable. And if we can do that, we're going to be super happy. So.
One thing that I've always wondered, I've seen a lot of diesel, like no prep trucks that's becoming really popular, and with the diesel drag racing and stuff, what's the advantages of possibly running a compound turbo setup compared to, a single turbo, I in my head, I'm thinking compound turbo would take a little bit more time to spool up, but you might be able to run more boost into the engine which means more horsepower. Have you thought about possibly running a compound setup?
Oh, 100%. I got a compound set up at my shop that I could throw on it at any time. My thing is compounds make a lot of torque, which is good. And if you have the right smaller turbo, it will spool way faster than a single turbo usually. But there's twice as much of everything to go wrong. We're bouncing these things from 14, 20 feet in the air. There's twice as much stuff to break, whatever, more weight. And the biggest reason I don't do a compound setup on my truck is it's already super quiet compared to all you guys with the blown trucks. When you compare them, mine is just so mild sounding compared to those blown trucks. It doesn't make people look. With a single turbo on it the way it is, when it starts doing a donut or it does come under load, it barks. A turbocharger is basically a muffler. It's almost a silencer because it's going through a turbine. So if you have two of them, like Dave Radziro's truck was awesome. Those twins on that thing, it was capable of making 2,000 horsepower, but it was so quiet, it was hard to even hear it running out there on the track compared to the other trucks, And that's what I don't want to take away from monster trucks is the sound. The kids love big, loud trucks. And if you take away the loud, you just have a big truck,
So help me understand about a combine turbo. Let me phrase that. Is that the same thing as like the RHO, where one turbo does one bank of the cylinders while the other turbo handles the other bank of the cylinders, so eliminates lag. Is that what I'm getting at?
So technically, a compound turbo setup is one turbo feeds into the other turbo,
Oh,
and
okay.
your exhaust feeds through it. So that one turbo helps. You have basically the big turbo makes the power, and the little turbo helps the big turbo light. Is basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, there's other ways. There's different wordings, but dual turbos and whatever. Certain applications, V8 engines and whatever, will have one turbo on each bank. I think that's considered a dual turbo setup or whatnot. And but obviously in inline six Cummins, you only have one exhaust manifold.
Mm-hmm.
So they always refer to them as twins. There's nothing twins about them. They're a compound setup. If you
And
put
they
two, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say they can go up to like 3 turbos, and
Oh yeah,
it's incredible. Some of these guys that are doing like the dyno things at some of these diesel meets and pushing absolute crazy horsepower. They're running 2-3 turbos, and sometimes
oh
even
yeah.
at those diesel motors. It's impressive.
I think the new record just got broke. It's a triple turbo common rail electronic engine truck. I think Josh McCormick just made 4,400 and some horsepower with one. It's unreal how they're pushing them.
That's
It's
crazy.
on a chassis dyno. It blew a rear tire. It made so much torque, so much power. It popped the rear drag slick when it loaded it. And everything. It's nuts. But we're talking 200 pounds of boost or something on those things. It's just taking them to the absolute limits. They're splitting the engines in half at the camshaft and blowing them out through the hoods of some of these trucks. So just finding the limit what it's doing.
So in
And
this
that's why there's
scenario,
yeah.
so in this scenario, in the world of monster trucks, you're looking for durability, longevity,
Oh yeah.
still making enough power to do what you need to do, and also enough way where you're off the line, you're not going to have no lag, you have some instant power.
Oh, 100%. And I blew the thing up when I broke the camshaft in it 2 months ago or whatever. I did 4 shows on 3 nights, and they just happened to all be within an hour and a half of my house. It was just the perfect storm. It actually wasn't perfect. It was brutal. But the last show of the last night, I went out for freestyle. Colton had finished the first show out that day, and I was going to go finish the second show out. And I went out and I made 2 hits, and it sounded like I blew an intercooler boot. I just heard air rush, and then the truck wouldn't start, and I knew it didn't have compression. I was like, well, that's not good. We sheared the camshaft off right behind the gear, broke it, and it bent 4 valves, blew the engine up essentially. We threw the thing back together. I didn't have another big camshaft, and I needed to have it together in like 2 days for a full throttle show. And so I had my cousin do the head, threw a stock cam in it. So now I have this big pulling engine that has a stock head on it, a stock cam in it, lots of fuel and lots of air. And talk about detuning something. But I went out the last show in Van Wert and raced against Dalton Skyhawk after Joe had just passed. Very emotional time. And I gave it everything it had, man. And Dalton got me, and it was awesome. I was so happy to be able to be a part of that. But this thing probably made 700 horsepower, 600 or 700 horsepower tops, and it still went out there and ran side by side with a competitive blown truck. And made it look good. It was just impressive. The torque of a diesel, how we were using it in the monster truck world. It wasn't horsepower at that point. We were running on torque. So it definitely showed that reliability was something you didn't need all out power that night.
So, when you're heading up the stage, are you running like a trans brake system? Like how are you coming into, the staging area trying to build boost? Are you just foot braking it or what?
Oh yeah.
What's kind of your process? Just foot?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no hydro boost or anything like in a drag truck or whatever to hold this thing. It's just that it's like all the other monster trucks. It's got Willwood brake pads on the drive shafts and the pinion brakes, and I just stand on those brakes and start feathering the throttle until I hear the turbo starting to light, and you creep in. And usually at the driver's meeting we'll talk, and they'll say, hey, when we see the smoke start to clear up or whatever, we'll make sure that the staging lights start lighting up or whatever. They try to work with me a little bit, but there's some times where it just doesn't. You can tell that that the guy running the lights just didn't get it or whatever, and it was just fine. I try to be ready for him, but yeah, it's just all me in there trying to do the best I can, juggling basically.
We got one person, Brett Hackle. He was Heckle, I think. He said, "Interesting question." If you want to click on that, Brad, I can't click on anything.
By the way, before you read it, this is one of my buddies. I gotta say this. Shut up, Chevy.
Would running BKTs help with less wear and tear and help the turbo boost better on the diesel?
Well, I'll say this. I watched 2 Hall Brothers trucks at the 4-wheel jamboree, the Hendricks County Fairgrounds, and it was noticeable, one that had BKTs and the other had Firestones, how much less rotating mass there was there and how much snappier that truck was. And I believe that was your truck, right, Cheech, with the BKTs on it?
Yeah.
I don't think running the shows that I run BKTs, if I could afford them, would be a thing, because we would cut one the first night out. We were smashing a lot of cars, and BKTs are pretty weak. But do I think that BKTs have their place as weight and or China tires or whatever? Obviously, cutting weight down would help anything to a point. But there's also the other side of it. Diesel's like load, and you got to have load to make boost. So tomato. So
Are you ever thinking about doing a speed run?
You know, after watching Alan and stuff, and Andy Hoffman and I had talked about it for quite a while. Andy had kind of wanted to do it stuff, and I keep saying, I'm like, my transmission has overdrive and lockup, and I never even use it. I've never put it in overdrive. I've never put it in lockup. I run it as a 3-speed, and I've got a 4-speed. I'm like I don't have 8,000 RPMs to play with, but I definitely think it could be pretty fast, and it makes enough torque that it would pull on top end, you know. But I don't know. That seems sketchy to me, doing 100 mile an hour and down a drag strip in my truck. That's just, you'd want to have a nice set of tires that were balanced good. And I don't know. I think my orbital's too fast or something. You couldn't turn that thing any, or you'd be into the wall for sure. So never say never. I don't know. I'm not that invested into it right now, but maybe one day we'll see. We'll see how the
right
videos.
Now, I think you and Bigfoot has something where you guys, if you really open the box and do what you need to do to that diesel, Foot does what they need to do with that electric truck.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Huh?
Those are probably the 2 fastest, monster trucks that I could think of, and probably outside of that would probably be, our truck, if we can get it right and tuned right with the Hemi and stuff like that. But when you have the enough boost, enough energy on your truck, I've seen some diesel trucks fly. But then with Bigfoot, you have instant power. And Jim Cramer even stated that they're only using 5% of the electric motor, transmission, battery of that truck. What happens if you're at 75 or 70% of that electric foot truck? Is insane. But also with you and your diesel truck, for a fact you can get as much power as you want with that truck. There's going to be a cost, but when you're doing that run though, Brandon, your mindset on it, you know how to bring the max power out of that. And if you get it right in the right situation, the right time, you have one hell of a fast truck.
Oh yeah. If we turn this thing into sled pulling mode and we wanted to just go straight drag racing, and I wanted to get everything out of it, we could make 1,800 horse out of this thing. Probably. It would probably break all the drivetrain, every shaft in it, everything else. But yeah, it would definitely be cool. I don't know. Never say never. If our videos keep doing good and we run out of stuff to do, maybe we'll push for that one day. My heart's not in it right now. I'd love to see Alan Pizzo go back and do something, take it. He's a Hall of Famer. He's paid a lot of dues. Or see Andy or somebody that's been around it a long time. I'll get my time at it, So yeah, maybe. I think the capability's there. It's just having the desire to do it. Just not there yet, but someday. So.
Well, we're going to play one more ad from our buddies over at JConslap / Colby Marshall with MTRC. and then we'll get into the last little bit here with Brandon Overmyer, guys. So stay tuned. Sorry about the volume on that audio there, Brendan. I saw you take off your.
Yeah, that was super loud, man. I was like, I'm deaf, and that thing's killing me.
I'm wearing my in-ear monitors. I wear at church sometimes, and I always have to turn that down. I was like, oh crap!
Yeah.
It didn't bother me because I hurry up and use the restroom, so I took off my headphones and took off. And so that was a perfectly good ad. Thank you for doing that. I heard it pretty good. Actually,
So-
no, I used the restroom and I heard that ad.
Yeah.
I was like, I know what I'm like. I'm in time.
You know how long you got until you got to be
Yeah.
back in the chair.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys have an event coming up this weekend at the Hall of Fame. One of you guys' yearly shows that you do there.
Yep.
Talk about that show and what you guys kind of have planned for this show, because I love being able to see a bunch of people always film it and put it on YouTube afterwards, and you guys usually film like a behind the scenes video of what's going on. What do you guys have planned for this event?
So I'm really kind of out of touch with it, to be honest, but I saw what everybody else saw. I know I talked to Elliot. We ran a show with him, one of the Dave Rife shows up in Michigan, ATR Motorsports, and Elliot was saying he was going to be there with at least one truck, and that dude knows how to wheelie, so he will put on a show. I think Freestyle Foley's going to be there. Joe, he does awesome. We got to run with him this year. He's one of my favorites. I think there's going to be another Kohler truck there. Thomas Borders, I think, is bringing his monkey foot truck, right? I think I saw that.
Monkey foot.
So his monkey business truck that had been labeled something different part of the year, and then I think Chris Keys is going to have a truck. There's going to be some good trucks. It's always a good time. There's always going to be legends. Man, I've met so many people that I didn't think I'd ever be able to meet, like Gene Patterson, and Brian Kahn used to drive my dad's truck. He's always up there being part of it. Obviously, Jeff Cook, Steve Hess. There's all these Monster Truck Hall of Famers that just circle around this thing and support it. So if you love monster trucks and you want to see a good show, you're going to want to be there Saturday for sure, and you get to meet some legends while you're at it. So
one more thing while we're plugging this in too, the Hall of Fame's just around the corner. I believe it's the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's the I think November. We all know who's going to be in it, but the atmosphere, the banquet, stuff like that. Brandon, talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame and see if maybe you can change some people's minds.
Man, I saw you up there at the Hall of Fame interviewing some legends and stuff. That's pretty awesome. That weekend, it's just, I always leave that weekend and almost feel bad that I didn't get to talk to everybody as much as I wanted to, because there's so many people pull you in different directions, like you just never know who you're going to run into, but you got to come there for the history discussion. That's in the middle of the day. You hear such good stories, man, from all the guys over the years that none of us were able to be a part of. Half of it was before we were even born. And like I say, you just never know what Hall of Famer you're going to see. And the banquet, they always have awesome stories at that. It's a big gathering. In the museum, there's always a different truck. I'm going to try to do something to have a little bit of different look on a truck sitting in there this year for the banquet. So maybe be looking for that. And it's a time capsule. You can come into this place and just spend hours and you can't take it all in, man. You got to come to the Hall of Fame at Butler, Indiana.
Well, the one cool thing is that there's usually, like a restoration unveil. We've seen, Scott Hess's Barefoot. We've seen Equalizer, Taurus. So many trucks kind of come back, and a lot of that has to do with Mike Vaughters. Like, that man loves the history of this sport. It's so cool to see, what happens there. And I keep always saying I'm going to try to make it at some point. Yeah. It's a goal of mine to get down there. It's just with how things are, with our government and everything like that, it's kind of stupid right now. But it's always so cool just to see all the videos and pictures, and then they did the COVID year, they did the online one, which was really cool because it felt like some of us that can't make it sometimes to the Hall of Fame, we were a part of it, which was really cool to see.
Oh, 100%, man. If you can't make it, just being able to see the stuff online is awesome. I saw that year of COVID, I think they went over to Scott Hess's shop, and I've been fortunate to be able to be in there with Scott a little bit now and set where some of those legends where them interviews were and everything, and it's just so cool to see how people get back together. I mean, they may have been bitter enemies back in the day when they were trying to win these monster truck races because they took it serious, and now they all just conjoin and talk and have such great stories and everything. It's super cool. It's something that if you can possibly get there, you need to try it. And if you can't, you got to try to at least watch all the festivities online and what's live streamed and whatnot about it. So,
man, it was a good time talking to you, Brandon. Thank you for being on. Is there a social media? I know. Go ahead, plug your YouTube channel too.
So I want to say real quick, by doing this triples deal, I am not wanting to take anything away from the king of the monster trucks, Bigfoot. In my mind, Bigfoot will always be the king. 10 foot tall, no matter how many mega trucks or whatever they want to say or taller, whatever out there. Bigfoot, the 10-foot tall truck, that thing was done back in the day, and that's always going to be the king. I'm not trying to bash any of the Bigfoot crew. They represented everything great all these years,
Oh,
But
yeah. 15 feet high.
That thing's cool. We go to Branson every October, and we stop and take pictures with that thing just because it's part of my childhood, and I want to see my boys with it, So the whole Bigfoot crew lost a legend, man. I've been seeing all the stuff about Dan Runte and everything, looked up to him, watched him at all the jamborees and stuff growing up, man. And Bigfoot is the king of the monster trucks for a reason. So,
by the way, beforehand, I want to say also thank you to Mike Moore and them, Lee Collins and them, in the 4-wheel drive jamboree group, honoring Joe Nichter and Dan Runte prior to Friday's monster truck show. I heard a lot of great things, and it was pretty cool how they talked about those two guys, and they were two legendary people that were part of the jamboree, and it was pretty cool to see. But thank you for reminding me of that, Brandon.
Yes, but yeah, if you guys want to follow us, go to our Facebook. That's where I'm posting most of the stuff at now. My clock's going off in the background here, but America TV on Facebook. Look us up. That's where my reels that have been finding all these haters come out of the woodwork that don't like this triple tired truck that I put all the work in and did and everything. I don't know how it offends them so much, but hey, they keep pushing our videos to success. That feels pretty good. Look up American Outlaw Monster Truck on YouTube. You'll come up with our America TV channel on there. You can look up America TV on Instagram. My boy Ron MF Maple, he's my crew chief and whatever. He helps with all these crazy ideas. He's helped with them 200 lug nuts a couple times. He's pretty excited about that. Go follow his stuff too. And yeah, you'll see some more stuff. I think there might be a Prius or two get crushed in a video because I'm tired of seeing some of these guys talk and that don't have anything to back it up with, So.
You just need to get just a giant row of Priuses, put all the tires on, and just go crush those things, man. That would shut them all up.
I think there's a very good possibility there's going to be something like that happen. We've got a big display coming up at the National FFA convention that nobody knows about yet. We got to have this new engine in for it, the truck all cleaned up, whatever. It's got to go to the Indiana Convention Center for all the FFA kids to see it. And after that, we might get it out and play with it again with the triples and show these boys that it will turn and that it will perform a little. And obviously, the stupid people that say it's going to backflip with that's not going to happen. But but it makes enough power to definitely do some stuff with triples on, despite what they think. So,
Wow. Let them soak it through, marinate. Because right
yeah,
now
exactly.
you're playing on house money, and the more they're hating, the more that you're loving it. So
Yeah, that's what they don't get, man, is that every comment that says something bad about it, and I just reply, thanks for the comment, or glad you liked it, or something like that. It just helps it in the algorithm, So it's pretty cool. We're at 1.1 million views on the 3 videos I uploaded here at the Jamboree. Pretty happy about that. Hopefully that keeps going. So
Cheech, you just reminded me of something funny, a quote from Shorzy that I'll kind of repurpose. If you got a problem with triple tired monster trucks, you got a problem with me. I suggest you let that one marinate, bud.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
and they-
No, we got some ideas coming up for it and whatever. So make sure to go on our Facebook and follow that deal. That's where I post the most routinely. But we're going to get back in the YouTube kick, and we're going to dyno that new engine. And good or bad, there's going to be a video of it on YouTube dynoing, whether it blows up or it goes in the monster truck and goes down there and looks pretty. Whatever happens with it's going to be out there for people to see. So
that's cool. Cool
yeah.
deal.
So
And just want to let people know also on our social medias, on our Facebook and Instagram, now we have a link tree link. So now we don't have to put a bunch of stuff in. You just click on that and it takes you to everything on the Crush This podcast, from Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, to Brad's school account. It will take you to everything that you need to do social media wise. Also our need to park in each corner.
Mr. Reckless driving himself. Need to park a monster truck in each corner when you have the triple. Dude, that would be badass.
dude, I got to see that guy make his final freestyle run. He's a super good dude. I call him a friend. I actually got a door of his he sent home with me when he ripped the body off. I said, I want that door. I ran it over going out to sign autographs on accident. It was laying out there. And I said, I want that door I ran over. He come back to the pits and carrying it, gave it to me. And I'm sure going to miss running with that guy. I hope he changes his mind and brings that truck back out. So
Yeah, same
cool.
here. He's a good cat. Yeah,
Oh,
I saw him when
100%.
he kicked everyone's butt over there in Maple Grove in 2020. So,
I think he's wired different or something, man. His brain turns off when he puts that helmet on. He goes out and sends that thing. So it's awesome. That old chassis with that big spring in it's pretty wild. So
that quarter elliptical truck, it's another one that's an oddball in technology, but Jeff and Jocelyn Perrin used that truck for quite some time. Ed Ecker, for a point where Ed had that full bore with the quarter elliptical, Monster Jam wanted him in the Concrete Arena shows just because of that. And then, he builds a brand new truck and everything goes, someone just bought it. He's gonna run it, but some new ownership for the full bore 2.0 truck too.
Yeah.
But
that guy's hopefully gets that thing back up, brings it to the Hall of Fame. He'd been messaging me a little bit. That'd be cool. So.
That'd be sweet. But that just a different type of technology and stuff. So that's pretty cool to see. And
you guys
stuff
need to have one of my crew members, Brian Kahn, on here sometime. He's a dude that is less recognized than what you think. He took Bigfoot to Alaska. He wheeled Bigfoot for a while. He ran it with a crack engine block that whole season up in Alaska. He's got some cool stories. He wore a mask, drove one of those Bigfoot trucks back in the day for a while. You guys ought to have him. That'd be an honor for him to be on.
We could set that up. That'd be pretty cool. And you said you also drove a truck, the Night Stalker, or your the previous
my dad's
truck
when it was called Green Giant. After my dad had rebranded it, he had just got done driving for Bigfoot. My dad hired him to come and run it. He's got a couple pretty funny stories about that running here with. We had some shows with. I remember Jesse Berge was there, and Jeff Cook and War Wagon, and that was some pretty neat times in my childhood. I remember let's
set that up. That'd be pretty cool.
Heck yeah, that'd be awesome. So,
who do we got on for next week there, Cheech?
Maybe Mike Pagarullo.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's going to be stupid time.
There you go.
So
speaking of Pagarullo, Excalibur, Mike Nickel, he's at the Hall of Fame. He's a big supporter. That dude's awesome. I love hanging with Mike and seeing those new Excalibur bodies that Tomfoolery's bringing out and everything. That's pretty awesome. So
the Michigan Mice Monster they ran in Orlando, that was pretty good, pretty sleek looking truck there too.
those things are beautiful. They do a good job of recreating them. Then we run. They're supporters of the Monster Truck Hall of Fame. They run some stickers on them things, trying to get it out there. Super cool to see that stuff going on. So.
And they kicked ass at World Finals, and got to see Misfire and the 40th anniversary of Excalibur up close. Those trucks are just gorgeous, and it's going to be good to have them on. But Cheech, any social media that people can follow you at, my friend?
Well, I also have a link tree also on my social media. So just go on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, stuff like that. I have those type of socials, but all my social platforms have the link tree. So click on that, join, and hang out, whatever. So, yes.
Yeah, I got to set one up for myself, but you can follow me at The Only Monster Truck Canucker on all social media. Go check out Shaw Speed Design Co. I've been really pushing that, really working hard on building that. Going to college in the new year so I can be a better graphic designer, being self-taught for 16, 17 years. There's stuff that I don't know, and I want to be better. I want to have this as my full-time job.
Also, time out, one more thing. If you guys want to, once a month, if it's up to Brad, if you guys are into the hangout where Brad starts a creation and then makes it into a project, let us know if you guys want to see more of that. It may not be a monster truck. It could be a funny car. It could be a dragster. It could be a new gen stock car. Maybe a F1, maybe a World of Outlaw sprint car, late model, whatever. You got a swamp buggy. That'd be pretty cool.
I'd be willing to do that, man.
Do what you guys want to do. Talk some feedback, message saying, hey, that'd be cool to have an episode of Crush This, hang out with Brad, where if you could do maybe a theme sponsored, type of design, and see if he can do it.
Yeah, I'd totally be down. I love doing that episode. I'm gonna upload a pulling truck, whatever. Like I finally have a 3D model that I've been working with for the funny car stuff. I'll show you right here, just a random, it's just a blank generic funny car. I can put whatever brand I want.
But the look of the car is what a modern funny car would look like anyway. I mean, that's like saying you got a late model template. I mean, all the late models are the same thing anyway. All they do is just put random decals. I mean,
and
I found Camaro looks like the same thing as some idiot that I saw at Pittsburgh put a Nissan Maxima decal on. So
I have, like, this one is supposed to be what if Pontiac came back? I have a Kia. I have all these different brands that I find that I can put on it, and what if, right? So if you guys are interested in me doing that, let me know. I'd love to do that so you guys can see the creative process, what goes behind, doing graphic design. And, and you guys still see when I'm doing the college thing, the progression that I'll make, with different aspects of graphic design. Because, like I said, I am full self-taught. I've never had any schooling. I've figured this stuff out on my own. So it'd be cool for you guys to, join me in that journey of growing as a designer to eventually make this my full-time gig, which is what I want.
Someone told me Shaggy tells me put Cheech's head is in the tailpipe.
Yeah, I'll have little Cheeches coming out of the headers on the funny car.
I think you need to do one with like how Corey LaJoy put Shaggy's face on a funny car.
Dude, I'm gonna do that. But by the way, Chris, thank you. That means a lot. Guys, speaking of that, check out on your friends and family. Mental health is a very important thing. If you're going through anything, struggling, please reach out. The feedback that we've gotten from the episode with Austin Spence and Mike Nugent, both talking about mental health. Thank you guys. I've always wanted to do episodes.
Watch those episodes. If you have a chance, watch them. If you're in some understanding what's going on is a big deal, and helping people out is huge. So try to, if you want to, look back on that.
Yeah, I love being able to share my story. We've shared Austin's story and Mike's story. it's a very important thing, and I'll continue to talk about mental health as long as I have breath in my lungs, because I've gone through my stuff with my mental health, and Cheech has always been there by my side, and anytime I've needed to talk to him about anything, he's always been helpful with that. So I thank you, my friend. I thank you, brother. And it's I love being able to use this podcast as a platform for mental health too, because we're all going through something, and a lot of us use monster trucks to cope, and it's just something that's always been on my heart to do. So, and I thank the good Lord for that.
Man, so once again, guys, thank you for being on. Thank you, Brandon, for being on. Also, it was good chatting up and catching up with you and everything like that. And hopefully see you down the road and see you at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a real honor. If you want to do it again, let me know, and we'll definitely hopefully see you guys at the Hall of Fame, or see you around. Maybe that Raminator truck will line up against this old diesel truck sometime or something, So
hopefully I need to be better behind the wheel.
Yeah, you're getting there, buddy. You're getting there, one race at a time, my friend.
You do a fine job, man. It's all about just trying. Just try your best. That's all you can do. So,
but it'd be a good time. It'd be a good show. It'd be
Dodge
fun in
Showdown.
general.
All Mopar final. I like it.
Yeah.
All Mopar, no go.
That's right.
Yeah, Mopar, no car. That makes me happy anyway. More Mopar, more it is. And hey, if the two line up, that's two true Mopars, like you said.
That's true. That's what I'm saying. That'd be awesome, huh? So.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Make that happen.
Cool.
Next week, I believe you said, is Mike Pagliarulo?
Yeah,
there's so many Pagliarulos. It's hard to remember.
I may find a homeless guy and just call him Mike Pagger.
Because next week will be Mike Pagliarulo from Tomfoolery Motorsports. And guys, for 10 years, as always, keep the rubber side up and the shiny side down, everybody. Peace.
Keep your stick on the ice.